ॐ वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा ॐ गं गणपते नमः ॐ नमो नारायणाय ॐ श्री स्वामिनारायणाय नमः श्री लक्ष्मीनारायणाय नमः श्री राधाकृष्णाय नमः श्री हनुमते नमः नमः शिवाय. Welcome to SwaminarayanSpirituality.com. This is Sachin Karnik. I want to offer my prostrations to all the sages in the world today, who are yet to come, who have come in the past, and to the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Paramatma that resides beyond Akshara Brahma, Aksharatit Parabrahma, Paramatma, residing in the heart of all beings at all times. Today's contemplative reflection, contemplative talk is a continuation on the Panch Vartman. The Panch Vartman, as was stated last time, it is a series of 5 vows. These are 5 special, very strict and intense vows that are niyams that are taken by the renunciate sages, the renunciate sadhus in the Swaminarayan Sampradaya. These 5 vows are Nishkam, Nirlobh, Nisvad, Nirman, Nisneha. These 5 were given by Bhagavan Swaminarayan, Sachin J Maharaj, SHREE Ji Maharaj, to all of his renunciate sages. They are described specifically in a scripture called Dharmamrut. Dharmamrut is a chapter in Satsangi Jivan, which is a massive scripture on the life and teachings of Bhagavan Swaminarayan. And in that massive 18,000 plus verses, Sanskrit verses, in that massive scripture, this Dharmamrut is given, and all of the Swaminarayan sadhus in the world today, and from the time of Maharaj, and it will be in the future also, they are required to read this scripture every day, because it is specifically about these 5 vows. In future talks, I'll be referring to various verses from that particular scripture, but for our purposes right now, we're still introducing this subject and see where it takes us by the will of God, by the will of Bhagavan and the great saints. So first of all, the first thing that comes to mind right now is that the ability to take a vow, even the desire to take any such vow, such strict niyam, such strict, it is called vrat. In Gujarati and Hindi, Marathi, I think also it is called vrat. Maybe other languages too, I'm not sure. But it is a very strict adoption of a very regulated life that has the aim of realizing the Atma and Paramatma. There is a purpose behind this Pancha Vartman. Panch means 5, Vartman meaning vows. Someone who adopts these 5 vows by the grace of Guru, by the will of God, probably it would have to be. It's not an easy thing to do. But if someone actually adopts these 5 vows and starts the journey to move the psychological consciousness into a much higher dimension, then that is an extraordinary life. Most human beings are trapped inside the 5 types of desires, the 5 desires that are in these vows. The Kam, Lobh, Svad, Sneha, and Man. These 5 is what the whole human civilization is literally burning in these 5. burning of the sexual desire and burned by the sexual desire. Burning of greed and burned by greed. Burned by swad and burned through swad. Swad meaning the endless desires for different flavors of foods. There seems to be no end to it. So that is swad. Then there is man. That is ego. The demand to satisfy the egotistical desires. To be something in this world. Above others. And then, which also causes so much harm. And then the fifth one is sneha. The intense entanglement psychologically, intrapsychically, with very, very close family members, friends, extended family members, or anyone, or any being for that matter. It is psychological entanglement and entrapment that is called sneha. Because that is, we use the word love, but that's not actually love. It is the best translation I can think of is that it is a highly entangled, bound state psychologically that is called sneha. And one is stuck there, trapped there, and because of that, that can cause rebirth. All five of these, the combination of the five, any one of them will cause rebirth upon rebirth upon rebirth upon rebirth. That is its power. Because the Jivatma, the Atma Tattva, is completely separate from a Tattva point of view from the three bodies, the physical, subtle, and causal, Sthul, Sukshma, Karan. It is separate. It is called the Vetirek Swarup. In Vachanamrut, Shreeji Maharaj explains this beautifully, and it is a fantastic bridge between Advait Vedanta and Vishishtadvait Vedanta and all of the other forms of Vedanta. Shreeji Maharaj's Panch Bhed, Jeev, Ishwar, Maya, Akshar, Brahm, Parabrahm, is a fantastic coming together of all of the acharyas who came before him, and Maharaj has given new dimensions in Vedanta also. But I don't want to go too much into that right now. The point simply is that the Atma Tattva is completely separate from the three bodies. Nijatmanam Brahmarupam Dehatraya Vilakshanam Vibhavyatena Kartavya Bhaktihi Krishnasya Sarvada. This verse is a central verse in Swaminarayan Sampradaya. It is in the Shikshapatri. It is verse number 116. 116. And the essence, the heart of this absolute verse is this unbroken bhakti towards Bhagavan, towards Ishtadevata. That bhakti is to be done in the Brahmic state. This is the actual Swaminarayaniya sadhana and sthiti. Both. Sadhana, this is the sadhana. All the Panch Vartman niyams and Dharma, Gnan, Vairagya, Bhakti and everything else, the 64 divine qualities, whatever we want to say, all the teachings in Vachanamrut, Swamini Vato, Satsangi Jivan, Bhakta Chintamani, all Swaminarayaniya scriptures and the Sanatan Dharma scriptures, if you put it all together, it comes to this climax point of this extraordinary bhakti and upasana of Parabrahma in the Brahmic state. Brahmarup thaine Parabrahmani bhakti, Akshar Rup thaine Purushottamni bhakti. This is in Gujarati. That you are the Brahman. So Advait Vedanta stops there. It literally stops there. But Shreeji Maharaj and many other acharyas took it beyond. They said the Parabrahma Tattva is always beyond the Brahman. And that nobody becomes that Parabrahma Tattva. That Parabrahma Tattva is one singular Tattva. And all the liberated beings are in service of that one Supreme Lord, Supreme Being, who is unparalleled, unmatched, eternally beyond Akshara Brahma, eternally beyond Mool Purush and Mool Prakriti, beyond all tattvas. This is the central point that runs through the Tattva Gnan of Bhagavan Swaminarayan. Shreeji Maharaj brought this out again and again in the most emphatic and clear manner. Because to reach that Parabrahma Tattva, to recognize the human manifestation of the Parabrahma Tattva, is the entire Swaminarayaniya sadhana. That is the heart of the entire sadhana, and that is the sthiti also. The sadhana and the sthiti is the same. That's the most interesting part. It's something very interesting to really think about. Usually we think of sadhana like Panch Vartman or following certain patterns of life, which we certainly have to do, as a means to an end. But in this case, the means and the end are exactly the same. The sadhana is the Swarup of Paramatma, and the sthiti is also the Swarup of Paramatma. Sadhana Pan Bhagavan ane sthiti Pan Bhagavan. So now how does that work? What does that mean actually? How can God be a sadhana? That is because the words that are taught by Maharaj, that he's saying that is my form, Madhavani Madharupam, because that same Parabrahma Tattva manifested as Bhagavan Swaminarayan in the form of Sadguru. So in the time of Maharaj, meaning Shreeji Maharaj, Maharaj is in both roles, as the manifested Parabrahman and as Sadguru. The two roles, the two are together in that. So in his life, both are together in his manifestation. And that is why this is something quite special, that the sadhanas shown by Shreeji Maharaj are also him only. That's his Shakti, his power, his divinity. And then those same sadhanas, those same teachings were further elaborated by Sadguru Gunatitanand Swami, Sadguru Gopalanand Swami. Two big scriptures that connect with Vachanamrut even further, that explain the Vachanamrut by these two main saints. And the biggest idea that runs through both of those scriptures is the human manifestation of Bhagavan Purushottam as Bhagavan Swaminarayan. That Bhagavan Swaminarayan, Shreeji Maharaj, is beyond Akshara Brahma. This is the central, one of the biggest points in these two scriptures. And that the Akshar Dham is different from Golok Dham and Vaikuntha Dham and Shvetadvip and other abodes of God. And this is a massive subject, and there's many places where these are all combined together, where people just say, well, God is only one, the abodes are the one. They're just different names for the same abode. But that's not the case. As per careful study of Vachanamrut, and definitely as per Swamini Vato and Gopalan Swamini Vato, Gunatitanand Swami's teachings and Gopalan Swami's teachings definitely indicate that the abodes of God are many. The Vaishnava scriptures say so, the Shaiva Siddhanta says so. So many scriptures say it's not that there's only one abode of God. Yes, is God one? Yes, obviously. Bhagavan is only one. But that one tattva depends on what level we're looking at from realization. It just depends. The ultimate tattva is only one, but it is called Tartamyata in Vachanamrut. Its manifestation is through its Anvay Shakti. Anvay Shakti means it is certain amount of power of the Bhagavan Purushottam, he himself or it itself, that because it's not really a he or a she. It is Satchidananda Vigraha. So we'll say Purushottam Tattva has Vyatirek form. Vyatirek means completely independent of all the other four Bheda. Jeev, Ishwar, Maya, Akshara, Brahma. The Parabrahman is completely independent. That is called Vyatirek Swarup or Vyatirek Tattva. And that same Tattva, that is Bhagavan Purushottam, has Anvay Shakti. Anvay means immanence power. So by certain amount of his, I'll just say his for now, but certain amount of the Purushottam Bhagavan's Anvay Shakti is present in Akshara Brahma, in the Muktas, in the Mool Purush, Mool Prakriti, etc. All the way down to the Jeev Tattva, Jeev Shrishti, etc. But that Bhagavan is only one. But the manifestation varies based on the level of power or energy or presence that is manifesting in any particular tattva. And that is called Tartamyata. Garada Pratham 41 Vachanamrut. Ekoham Bahusyam. Now, we started talking about Panch Vartman and look at what we're talking about now. Let's go back to that for a moment. The Panch Vartman is the doorway into everything right now Sachin just mentioned to all of you. That's the doorway. If there is a deficiency in this Panch Vartman, it will cause rebirth. There is an exception. If a devotee is deeply attached to Bhagavan with great Guru's Krupa and Ashirvad, but still has vasanas left over, as per Gunatitanand Swami, the Jivatma is taken into the sun after leaving this body, or into Badrik Ashram, or into Shwet Dweep. Or the fourth possibility is that certain kind of disease or quite a bit of suffering comes at the end of the body, and so that the causal body is completely cleaned up, and the Jivatma can enter into the Brahmadham, into the Akshardham. No Jivatma can enter into the Akshardham with the causal body. So that is an exception where there is still a process to go through, but that process is a cleansing process in other abodes. And that cleansing process only occurs, as per Swamini Vato, in 4 ways. It happens where towards the end of one's life there is some disease or quite a bit of suffering may come for a few days or weeks or some period of time, and that will cleanse the individual. Antakale sharir ma rog mukine pan kasar tali jase. Kasar talisu. That kind of statement is there. Gunatitanand Swami has mentioned that. But this happens for those who are pure devotees of God, real devotees, but they still have deficiencies. So by grace, by krupa, this Paramatma removes those deficiencies in 4 different ways. One way is for this kind of, at the end of one's life, there's some type of disease or some kind of rog. It will come, and then the Jivatma will be cleansed of that, of the vasanas and of these different desires and things like that, and then be a liberated being. If that doesn't happen to that extent, the Jivatma could be taken into the sun, Surya Lok, and to stay in that lok for certain time, to do tapasya there, to be cleansed off, and then go into the Akshardham from there. The third possibility is to go into Badrik Ashram. That is another place where a tremendous amount of tapasya is done, and Bhagavan Narayan Rushi is there, and Nar Rushi. Both are incarnations of Narayan. Actually, they're Bhakta and Bhagavan. That Narayan Rushi is the incarnation of Narayan, and the Nar Rushi is the ideal devotee, Nar and Narayan. They're both sages actually, but they're incarnations. So you can think of it that way. That is called Nar Narayan Dev. Right? So in the Kalupur temple, Ahmedabad, if you go to Ahmedabad, the first Swaminarayan temple is built by Shree Maharaj, is called the Nar Narayan temple. And that is the Murti of Nar and Narayan. It's an extraordinary Murti. It's actually Paramatma in that Murti Vigraha Swarup. Very, very divine. And just amazing Swarup is there. Right? It's impossible to describe it. One has to stand in front of that Murti to see its spiritual effulgence and presence. Okay. The third possibility is to go into Shwet Dweep, where the Niranda Muktas are there. Niranda Muktas are the ones who are devoid of the 6 Urmis. They are called Niranda, and they are doing Akhanda Tapasharya, and that is called Shwet Dweep. And that is having a form of Narayana there called Vasudev Narayan. So that is also a place for Tapasharya. And there is an extraordinary different kind of body is given there. And then from there, one can go into the Akshardham. These are amazing things actually. Golok Dham is not a place of Tapasharya. Golok Dham is a place of love. Only love. That's it. It is love beyond any end. That is Golok. So I don't want to go into that subject right now. But that is not a tap bhumi, tapasharya ki bhumi. Alright? So this is something to keep in mind. It's quite extraordinary. Why Shriji Maharaj has given this Panch Vartman? The reason is he wants the Paramahansas, the sages, to be able to live in the world and to serve the world as if they are living in the deep caves and Himalayas without the world being present at all. This is something extraordinary. So this Panch Vartman Niyam, this way of living, it's really like living pretty much outside the society, but living in the society, yet not getting bound by the activity of the society. That's its purpose. So each of the niyams are structured in such a manner as if a person is living in deep isolation almost, or not isolation, but in seclusion. Doing only just meditation and higher consciousness work. So that kind of life, while living in the world and serving the society, without the contamination of the experiences of the world entering into the mind of the sadhak. That's really, really something extraordinary. So the Swaminarayan sadhus, they live this way. They live in the world, but they are not touched by the world. The only problem they can face is their own vasanas from inside. There are problems of that type. And those problems can be very serious. Those problems can diminish one's path and can divert an individual completely in a different direction. That is why any Swaminarayan sadhu has to be very, very, very careful about the kind of activity going on inside the mind. And that is why they have their gurus and people who are guiding them and all that. But again, that's a very different kind of life. It's very hard for us to imagine what that is like. Just for us to not be with our family for a month or 2 months or 3 months, we could go mad, right? We could call and Facebook and text and WhatsApp and this and that. You're constantly thinking about our close relatives. And we need to also. We need to have the relationship and all that. But to rise above the entanglement is so difficult. To leave that home, And to become a tyagi, it's not a small thing. It's extremely, extremely mind-blowingly difficult. And without the blessings of an enlightened guru, ekantik satpurush, and without strong mumukshutvam, great desire for liberation, and with a lot of internal reflection, study, devotion, etc. Without all that, one could never live such a life. Or one would not be able to follow this level of the niyamas. Other organizations don't have this level of strictness, as far as I know. In Swaminarayan Sampradaya, as far as my study goes, it's the strictest. I don't think there's any place that has stricter rules than this. And those rules are set up specifically so that sadhu can reach the Purushottam Bhagavan without any hindrance and serve the society in many ways without getting stuck in the mud of the sansar. That is the purpose of Panch Vartman. The Panch Vartman is a solid practice. And if and when that Panch Vartman reaches the Siddha state, when a person fully gets established in Akhanda Vritti, that Panch Vartman is also fully established. To reach the state of Akhanda Vritti, this Panch Vartman is necessary. Now, what about all of us who are not formal sadhus and living in householder life or living in, however we're living? What about us? Can we follow this kind of life? Sure. We can. There's a slight modification. We go to work. Our clothes are not like this, like the sadhus. There's carrying money. There's the family that we're living with. Yes, so there's a little bit of difference that way. But other than that, internally there doesn't need to be any difference. One can be a sadhu from inside. One can be a paramahansa from inside. Paramahansa is not about external things. It's the realization of the state of nishkam, nirlobh, nisvad, nirman, nisneha. The realization of all five together in their full potency, in their full development, sets the foundation for Atma Darshan, Paramatma Darshan. It sets the foundation for higher movement out of the lower centers of the chakras into higher centers. It sets the foundation for Brahma Vidya. It sets the foundation for unbroken contemplation on the Lord, of God. Contemplation, devotion, while seeing the utter limitations present in the world of Maya. World of Maya is made out of Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamogun. I know that I've kind of gone all over the place in this, but it's okay because that's the way it is. It's all connected together. It's only one truth. There's actually literally only one truth, and that is Bhagavan Purushottam Narayan. There is no other truth than that. That one singular Advitiya, Ekameva Dvitiyam Brahma, as the Vedas state, and Vachanamrut references that verse. That is only one. And that is real. That is true. God is real. This world is here and one day gone the next. So because of that fact, we are actually able to live in the relative world, but live completely transcendent to the influence of the external connections. Yes. So this is the goal of Panch Vartman. There's a lot to be said about this. To be fully established in it with Jnana and Vairagya and Dharma and Bhakti without psychological reactions swinging back and forth, which are, many of them are described in the Vachanamrut. In fact, they're all described in Vachanamrut. So without all those reactions, one is very joyfully, blissfully, wonderfully able to follow all of this type of life without getting stuck in the relative world. That is the goal of a Tyagi, Swaminarayan sadhu, or any devotee who wants to reach that stage, irrespective of stage of life or even grahasthashram or living single or whatever it might be. It's possible if that's what we really want. It depends. It's all a question of what a sadhak wants. If the sadhak wants to be liberated thoroughly, completely, Panch Vartman is a doorway. It's a tremendous doorway to walk through and to hold those Vartman for whole lifetime. To follow Brahmacharya, it's no small task, but it can be done by the Krupa, grace of God. And if one wants it, one gets it. It's a question of what we want. So with that, I want to offer my prostrations to all the devotees, sages, bhaktas, and with that, Jai Shri Swaminarayan.